So today we take a brief break in the action to make sure that we have through subtracting integers totally down. So today we're reviewing how to add and subtract integers by several different methods. We'll talk verbally how we came up with our answers when we shoulder partner and our usual why are we learning this. So in front of you, you have a table with 20 problems in it. I have 10 problems on this screen and 10 problems on the next screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to do several problems at a time. Some of the problems, not only are you going to have to find the answer, but you also will have to use a number line. And there aren't many that I'm going to require you that you use a number line, but in some of them I will. So here's what you are to do. So listen carefully. Very similar to what we did yesterday. If it is a subtraction problem, we're going to write an equivalent addition expression or addition problem in the next column over. If it's already addition, we don't have to change anything, okay? From there, we're going to find our answer. Now, before today, I've kind of forced you to pick a method and show your method. But as of right now, my thought is you should be able to take any addition problem, and unless the numbers are huge, you should be able to find that sum in your head. And that's where I'm going to start trying to encourage you. Now, the only other problems that you would have to do a little more work would be like on number 2, and number 8, number 10, and so on, the ones with the number lines. Everybody clear on what I expect? Yes. All right, so right now I'm going to do number 1 and 2 with you. Okay? So, number 1. We, of course, would write number 1 as an addition expression or addition problem. That would be negative 8 plus negative 11. Right? Mm-hmm. Then next to that, didn't mean to do that. Next to that, we would write the answer. So Miro, I would write what as the answer? Negative 19. Good. Because we have 19 negatives and 0 positives. We have 19 more negatives than positives. There's not a number line for that one, so we don't have to do the number line. Number 2, we would write that as an addition expression. So that would become, after we add the opposite, however you want to think about that, that would become 2 plus negative 7. If it is a subtraction problem, that I will require you to turn it into an addition problem. From there, we need to find the answer. So what would that be, Michael? It would be negative 5. We have 7 negatives, 2 positives. We have 5 more negatives than positives. So, from there, we need to now use the number line because there is a number line there. So the problem started at 2. So we would put a dot at positive 2. And you need to do this as well. And then from there, I need to go backwards 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And obviously you should end up at negative 5 since that was the sum. 2 plus negative 7 is negative 5. Do we kind of understand what I'm expecting you to do? Yes. All right. I would like all of you to do the next 4 problems. Do 3 through 6, please. So once again, let me make it very clear how we're adding the opposite. And I'll just deal with number 1 and number 2 again. Look, when you're adding the opposite, that's the adding, that's the opposite. Remember yesterday we talked that the first number stays the same. In number 2, this is adding the opposite. In number 3, this is adding the opposite. That's the reason why problems like number 3 and number 7, for that matter, turn into a straight addition problem. So negative 13 plus positive 3 or negative 13 plus 3. Make sure that that is what you're doing in terms of adding the opposite. Or, in other words, when you're writing your answer as an addition problem. All right, I would like you to check 3, 4, 5, and 6 with your shoulder partner. We know who takes the odds. We know who takes the evens. There are two things we're talking about here. We're talking about the addition expression or the addition problem that you created, and then your answer. Okay? Go. We've already talked about number 2. Now we need to talk about 3 through 6. So the first thing we need to do is to write as an addition expression or an addition problem. Number 3 turns into negative 13 plus 3. So from here on out, I'm going to show you the add and the opposite and then how that translates. And that would give us negative 10 because we have 10 more negatives than positives. There's not a number line there for us to deal with. Number 4, add the opposite, which gives us negative 9 plus negative 12. We have 21 negatives and 0 positives. Therefore, we have 21 more negatives than positives, so negative 21. Number 5, add the opposite. That gives us 3 plus 17. We have 20 positives and 0 negatives, 20 more positives than negatives, no number line to deal with. Number 6 is already an addition problem. Therefore, I don't need to make any changes to that. So we just sort of transfer over 13 plus negative 19. We have 19 negatives, 13 positives, 6 more negatives than positives. Any questions so far? All right, I would like all of you now, let's take 7 through 14. Do 7 through 14, please. We left off at number 7. So number 7, when you add the opposite, it should look like this. Negative 6 plus positive 14, so negative 6 plus 14. We have 8 more positives than negatives. Therefore, the answer is positive 8. Number 8 turns into negative 5 plus negative 3. And once again, in the column on the left, I'm showing you, using this idea of adding the opposite, how it turns into that. We have 8 negatives and 0 positives. Therefore, the answer is negative 8. This time, we're supposed to use a number line. So we start at negative 5, right there. And then we are supposed to go backwards 3. 1, 2, 3. And you can see we are right there at negative 8. Number 9 becomes 19 plus positive 5. That obviously is 24. Number 10 is already an addition problem. That becomes negative, or stays negative 6 plus negative 8. And we have 14 negatives and 0 positives, therefore negative 14. On the number line, we start here at negative 6, and then we go backwards 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're right there at negative 14. Any questions through number 10? Next screen. We did 11 through 14. Add the opposite, negative 16 plus 8. I'm going to do that part first. Number 12, add the opposite, negative 9 plus 18. Number 13, add the opposite, negative 3 plus 2. Number 14, add the opposite, 7 plus negative 13. Now, answers. Number 11, we have 8 more negatives than positives. Number 12, we have 9 more positives than negatives. Number 13, we have 1 more negative than positives. Number 14, we have 6 more negatives than positives. And then in number 13, we're supposed to use a number line. We start at negative 3, and that was subtract negative 2. So that says go left, no, turn around and go right 2, and we're right there at negative 1. Okay, finish off the worksheet, please. Okay, let's go through these really quickly. We left off at number 15. Add the opposite. That turns into negative 3 plus 17. Add the opposite of number 16. That becomes 11 plus 4. I'll go back and do the answers in a second. Number 17 is already an addition problem. We're okay there. Number 18 turns into 4 plus negative 15. And if you get the idea of adding the opposite down, The rest should be easy. Number 19 turns into negative 15 plus negative 3. Number 20 is already an addition problem, so we leave that alone. Now to the answers. In number 15, we have 14 more positives than negatives. In number 16, we have 15 more positives than negatives. In number 17, we have 19 more negatives than positives. In number 18, we have 11 more negatives than positives. In number 19, we have 18 more negatives than positives. And in number 20, we have 6 more positives than negatives. We're supposed to use a number line on that one. We start at 15, and we go backwards 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're right there at positive 6. All right, we've got 4 problems left to do, but are there any questions so far? So let's turn this over to the back side. I know there's nothing on the back side. You'll have to write these 4 down. That's okay, though. We're going to calculate each of the following. In other words, calculate is another term for find the solution, solve, simplify, all these things. And we worked a little bit on this yesterday. Multiple numbers. What we want to do first is we want to add the opposite every place that we need to. So, we need to add the opposite right here, correct?
Yes.
Where else do we need to add the opposite? Where else do we need to add the opposite?
Also add the negative 2
and the subtraction, right? So you need to make sure that when you're left, whatever you're left with only has addition. And if you're not sure, read it to yourself, and I will rewrite it. This says to me negative 18 plus negative 12 plus, and I'm having to switch pen colors here, positive 2. That is straight addition now. And from here, we'll go through and use the commutative property. This has been the second time we've dealt with the commutative property. Gather your negatives together. We have 30 negatives. Gather your positives together. Nothing to put with that. We have 28 more negatives than positives, so therefore negative 28. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
We did a little bit of this yesterday. All right. Everybody try number 22.
9 plus negative 11.
Let me get caught up. 9 plus negative 11, and then?
Plus negative 6.
Excellent. And then, from there, gather your negatives together, gather your positives. That's utilizing the commutative property, right? What should it be?
The answer to this problem would be
Negative
negative 8.
8. Let's see if that's right. I've got 9 positives and 17 negatives. I have 8 more negatives than positives. Very good. Everybody try number 23.
Equals positive 14 plus positive 5 plus negative 7.
Very good. And then from there, Daniela?
There's 26 more positives. There's 26 positive and 3 negatives. And there's 23 negatives.
Are we talking about the same problem here? When I see this problem, I see 10 negatives and 19 positives. Do you see that? Which means that we have 9 more positives than negatives, so therefore it is positive 9. Okay? You good? Last problem for today. All right, number 24 should look like this. Add the opposite everywhere that we see subtraction. I see subtraction right there. I see subtraction right there. I see subtraction right there. And I made a huge negative symbol there. I didn't mean to do that. And then the last part is already addition, so we leave it. Gather all of our negatives together. Those numbers are all negative. We have 12 and 7, that's 19 negatives. These numbers are positive. We will gather those together, and we have 21 more positives than negatives. All right, we are finished for today. Get your name on the assignment, and you may begin.